Hello, this is the Aussie Arrowhand. What you are watching today is part of a research stream about Buddhism. So what I will do is I will navigate to the Wikipedia page, Glossary of Buddhism. And the challenge I have set myself here is to work through every Buddhist concept from A to Z as it is written in this glossary. Today, I am looking at this entry here. So Avataṃsaka Sūtra, the Garland Scripture. So when it comes to pronouncing that, I am unsure. It could be Avataṃ, it could be Avataṃ. So Avataṃsaka Sūtra. We'll notice this word on the end here. That word is sutra. So this is one of the sutras. Let's open up the page. So the Buddha Avataṃsaka Sūtra. The Buddha Avataṃsaka Nama Mahayana Sutra. I think I was very brave to try and pronounce that. The Mahayana Sutra, named Buddha Avataṃsaka, is one of the most influential Mahayana sutras of East Asian Buddhism. It is often referred to, in short, as the Avataṃsaka Sūtra. In classical Sanskrit, Avatamsa, Vatamsa, and Utamsa from stem tams, meaning to decorate. To decorate. That's interesting. So, yeah, part of this word means decoration. Okay, so in classical Sanskrit, so these three all mean garland, wreath, or any circular ornament such as an earring. The suffix ka often functions either as a diminutive or a plural. So ka. So we're talking about, what is it, the Avataṃ? So Avataṃsa means to decorate with garlands, wreaths, or circular ornaments. And this part here, ka, the suffix functions as a diminutive or plural. So I'm not sure what a diminutive is. Let's try that. I just want to look that up. And maybe linguistics. In linguistics, a diminutive is a word that indicates smallness, affection, intimacy, or sometimes contempt, formed by altering a root word such as booklet, small book, doggy, small dog, or Maggie, a familiar form of Margaret. Maggie. Oh, right, okay. So it shrinks the word. So let's see. I sort of hesitate to use the AI overview, although I do find it handy in many cases. What does it link to? Let's have a look at this. Well, that doesn't seem to link to anything. That just... Oh no, it's over here. Alright. Yeah, so Wikipedia. It is a word obtained by modifying a root word to convey a slighter degree of its root meaning, either to convey the smallness of the object or quality name, or to convey a sense of intimacy or endearment. So that's interesting. So they're using this suffix here. If we go back to the suffix ka, there's a sort of element to it that I don't know, sort of hints at something more than just the base meaning. And we're talking about, I don't know, the smallness of the object. Is that a bad thing when we talk about smallness, like it's pitiful or small? Is that a... And when we talk about a sense of intimacy and endearment, it's that kind of, I guess, would you call this socio-linguistics? It's got that sort of social sort of dimension to it when you use a word like this. I don't know if you can compare it to a slur where, you know, it's got a very negative tone or connotation to it. But, yeah, a diminutive. Well, I digress. But yeah, this is something that I want to look up and understand in my own time. So I will close that. We'll go back here, and I'm going to go off track too much. The suffix ka often functions as a diminutive or plural. Okay, so the multiple garlands. So thus, the title may be rendered in English as a garland of Buddhas, Buddha ornaments, or Buddha's fine garland. What is that linking to? Okay, so that seems to be an article of some kind. Let's have a look. This one, the stem array. The stem array chapter from the Mahayana Sūtra, a multitude of Buddhas. There's a table of contents here. Is this the whole thing? Let's have a look. There's an introduction. There's a translation. Okay, so this is... Yeah, okay. What is this website? I'm interested. 84,000? Okay. Bringing the Buddha's words to life. Translating the Tibetan Buddhist canon and making it freely accessible for all. Okay, I am bookmarking that. So, we go to... I keep opening tabs here. The problem is that when I record, there is a record panel at the top of the screen, which makes it very difficult for me to click the tabs up here. I have to use keyboard commands. I'm still getting used to them. So Control Tab is my friend here, but you may notice that when I need to close a tab and it's behind the recording bar, I actually have to move about another tab and delete it. And I don't like to keep too many tabs open, so I'll close the diminutive tab. The stem array. Okay, it's a chapter from one of the sutras, the Mahayana Sutra. So, yeah, once again, that's another sutra. There's a lot of sutras, and many of them are quite long. They are, yeah, they can be thick books. I think some of the sutras I've seen, they can be as small as a poem, well, a short poem, like maybe a few, what do they call them, stanzas. And yeah, they can be as long as any book that you and I have read. So, alright, so where did that come from? The stem array, the reading room. Okay. So is that, I think, are they just talking about how they've rendered the title here? What is the title? Stem array. I don't know if this link is actually... it's possible that, yeah, somewhere in the introduction, somewhere in the the scholarly bits here, they're talking about this. It doesn't really matter to me right now, so I'm going to close that. I'm interested in this site. This is one about a Tibetan Buddhism. Translating the Tibetan Buddhist canon and making it freely accessible for all. That is a mighty goal if you ask me. So let's close that one. I can't close that without moving this around. So yeah, close. Very good. All right. So in Buddhist hybrid Sanskrit. Now, what is that? I'm going to try not to get too off track here, but this is the classic Wikipedia experience. You free fall for all these hyperlinks, and you just end up wherever, and it is a great way to go on sort of tangents. You can fall down rabbit holes this way. I absolutely love it. So Buddhist hybrid Sanskrit, the term Avataṃsaka means a great number, a multitude, or a collection. Okay? This is matched by the Tibetan title of the sutra, which is a multitude of Buddhas. Okay, so there's quite a lot just in this first paragraph here. And what you find is often Wikipedia is a complete mess. You should not trust anything that you read on here. So my ability to cross-reference and sort of get to the heart of a lot of this linguistic stuff is limited. So this is where I have to practice a little bit of humility and say, I don't know. This is for the scholars who are working with, the language of Buddhism. But the best we get as sort of lay people, as readers who have an interest and want to sort of know more about Buddhism, is these sort of Wikipedia articles. So every time I read something like this, I take it with a grain of salt. I don't know what is true here. I assume there's some truth, but also there could be some errors here. And it's amazing. I've watched several YouTube videos where they're looking at historical pages, they actually do some research and find that a lot of the claims written on Wikipedia just have no basis. That sort of thing is, you've got to take it with a grain of salt. But, alright, so the very first part of this, and here's the thing, I don't know if this is, I don't think this is well written or organised. It is just, straight up saying, hey, look, here is the Buddha Avataṃsaka Sūtra. Look, here is a sort of explanation of what the word means. Maybe that's a good place to start talking about this, but also, what I'll do is I'll read on. I just think, as far as encyclopedia entries go, this one seems like a big wall of text right at the beginning. And they probably could have organised it better. But, there's a lot of people working on these Wikipedia pages, and it just sort of becomes a bit of a Frankenstein of edits after a while. So let's have a look. Let's read on. Modern scholars consider the Buddha Avataṃsaka to be a compilation of numerous smaller sutras, many of which originally circulated independently and then were later brought together into the larger, mature Buddha Avataṃsaka. Many of these independent Buddha Avataṃsaka Sutras survive in Chinese translation. The text has been described by the translator Thomas Cleary, the most grandiose, the most comprehensive, and the most beautifully arrayed of the Buddhist scriptures. That is high praise. So, the Buddha Vatamsaka describes a cosmos of infinite realms upon realms filled with an immeasurable number of Buddhas. Transition. My computer just crashed, so I'm going to have to try and locate my train of thought. Now, I think I was at this bit here. The Buddha Vatamsaka describes a cosmos of infinite realms upon realms filled with an immeasurable number of Buddhas. I think this is connected to Pure Land Buddhism. I watched a video recently, and I won't go on too much of a tangent, but the YouTube channel, Religion for Breakfast, he did a video on Pure Land, and yeah, so it was this one here. It's a really great video. Go watch it. But if I were to describe Pure Land, and I might get a definition up because it gets a little bit curly. So we'll go Pure Land. I'll go Pure Land Buddhism and see what comes up. So we've got the Wikipedia page. You got the AI. I'll click on this one here. Pure Land Buddhism is a broad branch of Mahayana Buddhism focused on achieving rebirth in a pure land. Alright, so what is a pure land? When we come back here and we're talking about this cosmos of infinite realms, well, in Pure Land, there's at least one realm, and there's this figure here. Where is he? Well, actually, I'm just skimming through this. The Pure Land, I'll read this here. The Pure Land tradition is focused on achieving rebirth in a Buddha's Pure Land. Okay. A superior place to spiritually train for full Buddhahood, where one can meet a Buddha face to face and study under them without any distractions or fears of our world. Okay, so note that it says here, where is it? A Buddha, because there's more than one, and there's more than one Pure Land. And if we look at this video, he explains that quite well, I think. And with Pure Land, we've got this sort of, they've got this mystical realm where practitioners wish to be reborn. So we notice they talk about it here as a superior place to spiritually train for full Buddhahood, where one can meet a Buddha face to face and study under them without any distractions or fears of our world. And that's interesting, because I'm thinking of the history of Buddhism in countries like China, and all the other places in the world where Buddhism has developed. There are a lot of wars. There is a lot of social instability, and you've got these dudes walking around who just want to meditate. They want to get in touch with their Buddha self. And can you imagine what it would be like to just imagine a place that is free from all sort of distractions and imperfections, and where you can just meditate with your teacher? So I think that is that's really interesting to sort of contemplate for me. But I might read on. I'll just see there's a little bit more here. Since it is much easier to attain enlightenment in Pure Land, many Mahayana Buddhists strive to be reborn in one. Okay. Now, I don't know if this is Pure Land as a whole. I've forgotten a lot of the details, but yeah, there are multiple Buddhas and multiple sort of Pure Lands that you can be reborn into. The most popular one is the Pure Land of the Buddha Amitābha. Amitābha. Now, Amitābha is this guy. Amitābha, also known as Amitābha in Chinese, so there's a bunch there, is one of the main Buddhas of Mahayana Buddhism and the most widely venerated Buddhist figure in East Ancient Buddhism. He is also known by the name Amitābha, measureless life. Okay, you've probably seen this guy before. There's a huge Amitābha Buddha statue in Japan. And the way you recognize him, I think, is this sort of interesting, I don't know what you call it, a haircut, a headdress, a hat. I'm not exactly sure what it's meant to be. And I'm also not sure if other Buddhas have this, but I usually recognize Amitābha this way. So we go Amitābha. Yeah, so if you see, there's quite a few images of him. There's one there. I'll just see if I can get it open without crashing my computer. So yeah, so Amitābha. This one is on the Encyclopedia of Buddhism, another website I have a great interest in. I may return to this later in the video. But yeah, he's got that beautiful headdress, hair. I'm not sure what it is. It's jeweled. That looks like a hat to me. I'm going to look that one up and find out another time. But yeah, he has a very serene look. He is a very important figure in Pure Land Buddhism. So that's Amitābha. And yeah, the most popular land that you can be born back into, that you can be born into, is the Pure Land of Amitābha. But it says here as well, some Buddhists may also aspire to be reborn in other pure lands, such as Maitreya and Medicine Guru. Okay, who is Medicine Guru? That's a English translation, obviously. Basa Jaguru. Basa Jaguru. I think that's how you pronounce that. And I apologise for all of the pronunciation errors that I'm making. Yep, he's the Buddha of healing and medicine in Mahayana Buddhism. So, and yeah, I guess one of my questions I have here is, it concerns sort of the reverence of all of these figures. No, that's a question for another time. I'll close that. All right. So, going back to this sutra, the Buddha Avataṃsaka Sūtra. All right, so I suspect this has a connection to Pure Land, and sort of, I'm going to put this over to one side, and I'm going to open Notepad, and I'm going to start collating some information. All right, so we went through all of the language about, we went through all of the etymological stuff. So a garland of Buddhas, etc. Alright, so a few things I think are key, because I think, like I said earlier, this is a big block of text. I'm finding it quite dense to read, but term, it means a great number, a multitude, or collection, and what do you know? Modern scholars consider this sutra to be a compilation of numerous smaller sutras. So it may not be, the Buddha I'm unsure if these terms are slightly different, but modern scholars consider the Buddha Avataṃsaka to be a compilation of numerous smaller sutras. So this bloke Thomas Cleary thinks it's the most grandiose, the best, the bee's knees, the most comprehensive and beautifully arrayed of Buddhist scriptures. And a little bit about the content here. Okay. So it describes a cosmos of infinite realms upon realms filled with an immeasurable number of Buddhas. And it was influential in East Asian Buddhism. Okay. So we go there. Then there's a little bit at the end here. So, no, actually that was further down. I haven't gone past the start here. So, where is it? The vision? No. Sorry, I think it's just confused because I've moved it from one side of the screen to the other. Yep. Yeah, it moves all the formatting around. So the vision expressed in this work was the foundation for the creation of the Huayan school of Chinese Buddhism. So let's have a look at that one. Huayan. Yeah, it's based primarily on this text, the Buddha Avataṃsaka Sūtra. So that's Hawaiian, if I'm pronouncing that right. So let's go. Okay, so we'll put. So we'll go Hawaiian. Uses this text as a foundation. Alright, so I guess at this point I've gone over quite a few things here, and I guess I want to come up with a list of questions for me to sort of pick at and interrogate here. Because we're talking about a sutra. We've got the Buddha Avataṃsaka Sūtra. Right, this is just one of many sutras, and I want to know, I haven't looked this up properly yet, but what is a sutra? What is a sutra? So that's my first question. I'll give myself a list. I don't even know what a sutra is. I know that it's an important collection. It's an important text of Buddhism, but as far as what a sutra is in comparison to, say, the Abhidharma, which is, those are discourses on the Buddha's teachings. What is a sutra? That is a good question. Okay, the second one, is this text important to Pure Land Buddhism? I may not be able to answer that question. I can punch it into the AI. Maybe it'll find me some sort of connections. But yeah, I'm thinking that might be that might be a tricky one to find without sort of going through each school and looking at their foundational texts. Do I need a third question? I don't know. Yeah, what does it teach? Or perhaps it's best to say, what are the contents? What are the contents? Okay. So I'm going to go through this list of questions and then I'll probably leave the video there. Sort of my goal is not necessarily to comprehensively answer the question. This is just kind of an introductory research stream for me. Now, I'm just gonna put that in Google. What is a sutra? Okay, so there's the AI account up there. I'll read that in a moment, but we've got a dictionary definition, a rule or aphorism in Sanskrit literature, or a set of these on grammar or Hindu law and philosophy. So that might be another meaning, but also a Buddhist or Jainist scripture. Okay, so Jainism is related. I'm interested in the Jains. I'll look down here. Is there more? What does it mean? Fred. Okay, from Sanskrit sutra, thread or rule. Let's. I might look at the Lions Raw page today. So, all right. What is a sutra? Sutra, as defined by Daigaku Rume, a Soto Zen monk. All right. So there's quite a text here, but it's not too long. I'm going to have a skim through this. Sutra is a Sanskrit word that originally meant string or thread. Okay. Although it is commonly used to refer to the discourses of Shakyamuni Buddha. I'm guessing that's one of the Buddhas. Sutra is derived from the same verbal root as the English words to sew and suture. Okay, so if I just imagine a needle and thread, is that a good image to accompany our journey into what a sutra is? The Sanskrit word was later translated in China and Japan using a character that had the radical for string or thread. Okay, so once again we're coming back to strings, threads, sewing, suturing. I don't know if suture has a different meaning, but I always associate that with a medical, when you've got a cut or something or a severe thing, a doctor will sew it on your arm or wherever you've been cut. So the connection between string and scripture derives from the fact that these oral teachings that were sewn together from a common theme and passed down from generation to generation. Okay, oral teachings that were sewn together from a common theme and passed down from generation to generation. I'm going to copy that. What is a sutra? Think of it like this. Oral teachings, these weren't written. Well, they might have been written. They would have been written later. Well, certainly they were. But, okay, so the sutras are collected in the second part of the Buddhist canon that is collectively known as the Tripitaka. So if we go back to this, and I went over this in the Abhidharma video, and I felt there was a little bit of confusion over these baskets. And was it this one? Buddhist canons. I think it was like the Pali Tipitaka. And I think it was this one here, yeah, where we had 3 baskets, and they called them baskets because that's how the manuscripts were sorted. They put each kind of manuscript in a basket. There were 3 baskets. Okay, so the first here, and we're talking about the Pali canon. There's other canons. They may have different ways of organising them, but yeah. First one deals with the rules and disciplines of the Sangha. The second basket, discourses and sermons of the Buddha. Some religious poetry, the largest basket. And I note here that it says Sutra, sayings basket. Alright, so I'm going to open that one up. And then the Abhidhamma Pitaka, treatises that elaborate Buddhist doctrine. So I'm thinking you've got the sutras here. And the sutras are, we could think of these as, I'm guessing they're preserved through the oral tradition, that they're passed down from person to person. But essentially, these purport to be the words of the Buddha. Is that right? No, that doesn't seem right, because I've read the Lotus Sutra and yeah, it wasn't that, well, not fully that. It felt more like a story about the Buddha. So, all right. So how about, and the Abhidhamma treatises? So, okay, if I can think of it kind of as a difference between tertiary literature that sort of makes commentaries on Buddhism, sort of puts it into a systematic doctrine, as opposed to stuff that's more closer to the original source. Could that be right? I don't know. But yeah, if we look at this here, the Sutta Pitaka, it's the divisions, the definitive canonical collection of scripture of Theravada Buddhism. Got it. All right, suttas, teachings. Is there a page for sutra? I'll have a look at that here. And all right, so sutra in Indian literary traditions refers to an aphorism or collection of aphorisms in the form of a manual, or more broadly, a condensed manual or text. Now, I need a refresher. What is an aphorism again? It is a concise, terse, laconic, or memorable expression of a general truth or principle. So I think of aphorisms as sayings, but are sutras just sayings? I don't know if they are. Well, I guess it is. It's probably a collection of sayings. But well, let's read in Hinduism. Okay, so in Hinduism, sutras are a distinct type of literary composition, a compilation of short aphoristic statements. Okay, so yeah, a compilation of short aphoristic statements. I think I have my answer there. All right, so we say, what is a sutra? Oral teachings that were sewn together from a common theme and passed down from generation to generation. We could think of them as sayings, or a collection of sayings. So yeah, we got sutras and we got the Abhidhamma, which is more treatises. I assume that are written by other people about what the Buddha said. Sutra, yeah. Okay, and sort of just on that note, if I close this and I go back to the glossary, so we've drifted far from here. I've noticed as I've looked through this, there's quite a few sutras mentioned. You got this one here, but if I take that sutra word and I search it, I just want to see what comes up. So you got the Garland scripture, that one there. There's no information, there's no hyperlink, and that's actually quite common on this page. There's another one. The Amitābha Sutra. There's lots. There we go. The scripture on Kisatagarbha. Okay. Yeah, more sutras. Sutra on the Great Perfection of Wisdom. Yep, and as you can see, there's a lot of sutras, and I wonder. Okay, here's the actual sutra entry on the glossary page. It just means scripture, originally referred to short aphoristic sayings and collections thereof. All right. Yep. And there's a lot of sutras. I'm wondering, if I look up a list of Buddhist sutras, what will I find? So I know what they are. There are a list of sutras here. And actually I want to sort of diversify my pages a bit. So you got one here on this page, access to insight.org. Okay, the suttas listed below are available here at Access to Insight. A handful of sutta-like passages from the Vinaya Pitaka are also listed here. Alright, this is huge. Look at this. Wow, what a resource. Have they got English Have they got English translations? I don't know. Let's have a look. Diamond. Is the Diamond Sutra in there? No, but I'm sure the actual original the original title is in there somewhere. But there's a lot. There's a lot. Is there a way to navigate these? So we've got an A to Z. List of translations by translator, and let's just have a look at one. This one on hatred. Avataṃsaka hatred. Let's have a look. These are the 10 ways of subduing hatred. Which 10? Thinking, he has done me harm, but what should I expect? One subdues hatred. Thinking, he is doing me hard. He is doing me harm, but what should I expect? One subdues hatred. And that goes on and on and on. Alright. Translated from the Pali by, there's a translator's name, Thanissaro Bhikkhu. Updated version is freely available at Dhammatalks. Okay, so Dhammatalks is another. Alright, so yeah, this guy, Thanissaro Bhikkhu. He has a website, or at least a website devoted to him. So there's two there I want to look at. I want to look at this Dhammatalks, and I want to look at this. Where is it? Okay, so access to insight, readings in Theravada Buddhism. I'm going to bookmark that. Okay, Dhammatalks, this site offers an extensive collection of translations from the Pali Canon. I'm going to bookmark that. Alright, so there's a lot there. There's a lot of sutras. Sometimes they're called suttas. So, yeah, I want to find a way to sort of navigate this sort of bewildering sort of collection of texts. And yeah, there's resources out there. I will find those. So, alright, so that answers one of my questions. So I'm going to close a bunch of stuff here. Who was Thomas Cleary? An American translator and author of more than 80 books related to Buddhism, Taoism, or Taoism, Confucianism, and Muslim classics. Okay, so yeah, Thomas Cleary was a scholar. He clearly held this text in very high regard. That's what he said. The most grandiose, the most comprehensive, and the most beautifully arrayed of Buddhist scriptures. Okay. So, the question I wanted to ask, the next one, is this text important to Pure Land Buddhism? And this feels like a... Well, I'm just going to search the article first of all, see if there's any reference of Pure Land. So, yeah, it says Pure Lands. So that's in the sidebar. Pure Land Sutras. Okay, I assume this is a important one for that. And main traditions, Pure Land. So it sort of indicates that, yeah, this is Pure Land. I picked that up right away, which is good. It means I must be learning something. So let's have a look. We go to the Pure Land Sutras. Can I find sutras here? So Core Pure Land Sutras. And there's a few here. Alright, I don't think any of those are the one we're looking at, are the one we are looking at currently. And where is it? Sorry, I think I've lost it. I'll go back down here. I don't think any of them are the Avataṃsaka Sūtra. It's not a core. It is not a core sutra by the looks of it. Where is it? Teachings. Oh no, there. Okay, that's helpful. This tells you what scriptures are important. We'll go down. Related Mahayana texts and aspirations. I don't see it there. Dharani and mantras. I don't see it in there. Japanese Pure Land writings. It's not in there. Okay. So it may just simply be covering related ground. It may not impact, it may not have influenced Pure Land Buddhism much, but I'll just see influence on Pure Land. I'll see what comes up. Alright, so according to this, yeah, the Flower Garland Sutra significantly influenced Pure Land Buddhism, primarily through its final chapter. The Amitābha Bodhisattva's vows and practices, which explicitly encourages rebirth in Amitābha Buddha's Pure Land. Okay, so yeah, alright. What does that link to? Let's have a look. So there's a Pure Land Buddhism. Oh, here we go. So if you go to the Pure Land Buddhism website, the Avataṃsaka Sūtra is, yeah, it's got a whole page here. All right. So where is it? It is one of the most influential Mahayana sutras of East Asian Buddhism. All right. Let's read here. Alright, this sutra was hidden from the human realm for quite a while, as no one would be able to understand it, until Bodhisattva Nagarjuna recovered an extremely tiny portion of it from the dragon's place. So, who is Nagarjuna? Let's have a look. Okay, so there's an Indian actor named Nagarjuna, but I think we're talking about this guy here. Nagarjuna was an Indian philosopher, Mahayana Buddhist monk of the Madhyamaka school. Okay. Alright, I don't know the history here, but yeah, there's a claim here. It's saying that this is very strangely worded. So it says this sutra was hidden from the human realm. Okay, so where was it stashed? Was it stashed in one of these Pure Lands? Was it stashed away from human eyes? Does it simply mean that this was hidden by monks? I don't know. That's an interesting... It suggests an interesting story here. That this Nagarjuna sort of recovered some of it. Okay, so is this the whole text? I don't know. Nagarjuna. Let's see if he's referenced in this article. Nagarjuna. Yep, key figures. Alright. So this looks to be a chapter. Yeah, we've got an overview here. I'm going to go into this soon. But we got Nagarjuna. Yeah, at least part of this bit here, book 26, may have been attributed to Nagarjuna. Okay. What's this here? Book 39. Okay, so it was a well-known text to these free Indian authors, and the canon also contains 5 commentaries on individual verses attributed to figures like Nagarjuna and others. So, alright, I don't know how true this claim is here, but yeah, there's an interesting story there, I think. Alright, so Avataṃsaka means garland, wreath, or any circular ornament. It can be translated as flower ornament, etc. Alright. Yep, so it's recovering. It's got that Thomas Cleary quote again. He's really talking it up. I love this. So, I don't know. Maybe some of this is copied from the Wikipedia page. It's very possible. Maybe the Wikipedia page got its reference from here. I could check, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. All right, so yeah, the cosmos of infinite realms upon realms filled with an immeasurable number of Buddhas. So there isn't a limit by the sounds of it, or at least we can't count the limit. Are they all in their own pure lands? I want to know. Okay. So the last chapter is the practices and vows of Bodhisattva Amitābha, in which the Bodhisattva led all the great Bodhisattvas in the world of flower adornment to attain rebirth to Amitābha Buddha's pure land. Okay, all the great Bodhisattvas in the world of flower adornment. I'm not sure what that bit is adding here, but all the great Bodhisattvas of the world to attain rebirth to Amitābha Buddha's pure land. All Dharma gates. Is that the same word as path? I don't know. That might be a pure land word. I'm going to look that one up. Dharma gates. Okay, so yeah. Alright, so this ain't great. This ain't a great way of conducting research, but sometimes you just look at Reddit and see what people are saying. Dharma gates are one of the ways a Bodhisattva and Buddha expresses their wisdom. Alright, I don't need to answer that, but yeah, okay, so ways of expressing wisdom, or I would, just based on what this is saying, I feel it means path. But yeah. But yeah, we got this here. The practices and vows of Bodhisattva Amitābha, in which the Bodhisattva led all the great Bodhisattvas in the world of flower adornment to attain rebirth in Amitābha Buddha's pure land. Okay, is it? I'm getting rapture vibes from this. I can't be the only one who is, but I don't know. That sounds. Yeah, okay. It's like all the Buddhas in the world are going to sort of go into the pure land and meditate with Amitābha for the rest of eternity. So, all right. Okay, all right. So I've answered my question there. Actually, I don't think I have. Not fully, at least. It's got an entry. It has an entry here. But what did I read before? It said something about... Yeah, so it was one of the AI sort of things that it coughed up. Okay, it said primarily through its final chapter did it influence Pure Land Buddhism. And that is referenced here. They're talking about this, the practices and vows of Bodhisattva Amitābha. Alright. If I look at the page and I go to that chapter, what does it say? Individual Sutras, Hall of Universal Light. Sort of looking towards the end here, so the 8. Alright, so okay, there's a big wall of text there. I don't want to get too deep into this right now. But as far as answering this question goes, I'm going to say yes. Or at least it is one of the adjacent texts that shares a lot of Pure Land sort of concepts and wisdom. So, but I'll just settle for yes right now. Okay, so what does it teach? What are the contents? And I could go for each chapter and really try and tunnel down on that, but I just want to look at the overview. Okay, so the sutra, among the longest Buddhist sutras, is a compilation of disparate texts on various topics such as the Bodhisattva path. Alright, so as we know, that's the sort of great vehicle path of Mahayana Buddhism. It is Ekayana. It is in contrast to Theravada, which sort of restricts itself a little bit to the attainment of what would you say, arahantism or arhatship. It's that idea of freeing yourself from all mental suffering. But the Bodhisattva path it's more about bringing out Buddhahood in all living beings, right? It has more of a sort of social dimension to it. Not saying that Theravada doesn't have a social dimension, but yeah, there are some key differences there. The interpenetration of phenomena, dharmas, and the omnipresence of Buddhahood, the miraculous power of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the visionary powers of meditation, and the equality of things in emptiness. That's a very brief summary there. Okay, so so this idea of Buddhahood. Let's see. Well, it just takes you to the Buddha page. But they often talk in Buddhism, or at least Mahayana, about our Buddha nature. This is all the good qualities inside of us that exemplify, the wisdoms of the teachings of the Buddha. And we want to bring this out in all living beings. So, according to Paul Demiville, the collection is characterized by overflowing visionary images which multiply everything to infinity, by a type of monadology that teaches the interpenetration of the one whole and the particularized many of spirit and matter, and by the notion of a gradual progress towards liberation through successive stages and an obsessive preference for images of light and radiance. Okay, there's a lot there. Likewise, Alan Fox has described the sutra's worldview as fractal, holographic, and psychedelic. So that's interesting. There's a few things I want to respond to there. I just want to have a look at this monadology. I need a refresher on this. We talk about monads. What is that? It's about a basic or original substance. I'm not entirely sure how that sort of relates to Buddhism here. That's a question of philosophy for another time. But monadology. What does it teach? The interpenetration of the one whole and the particularized many of spirit and matter. So that, yeah, that's. I wanna learn more about that. This idea of the, I guess, the universe and all of being and matter as sort of one, sort of whole. It's this idea. And it sort of forms this picture of, I guess, interdependence, interbeing, as Thich Nhat Hanh might call it. And, yeah. So, that's an overview there. I'll just see what the headings are. We've got the holistic cosmos. We've got mind only and emptiness. We've got the power of the Buddhas. We got Vairocana Buddha. Bodhisattva stages. Alright. So, I think the thing that's interesting me most here out of these concepts is the power of the Buddhas. Because in Mahayana, it's that idea of Buddhahood. Buddhahood in all living beings. And how that radically departs from the Theravadan view that you're just a kind of individual attaining enlightenment. There's this sort of imperative in Mahayana Buddhism to bring out the Buddha nature in all human beings. And there's this mystical aspect to it that when I first started studying Buddhism, I did not appreciate this. I liked the sort of, the secular Buddhist worldview that some of my friends were sort of on into at the time. And a lot of people saw Buddhism as something that was highly adaptable to sort of Western mindsets, to atheistic mindsets, because in Buddhism you don't have to believe in a god, and it may even get in the way of your spiritual practice. And that's a huge topic on its own. I think there are gods in Buddhism. That's a question for another time. At the very least, I think some Buddha figures are revered in a way that feels a little bit like worship. But that's not true of every school. But if we're looking at the Theravadan school, we're looking at Mahayana, then it's this sort of radical sort of notion. And it's not radical. It might have been radical, back in times pre-Enlightenment and, back in sort of barbaric societies. But, it's this idea that we need to do good, to cultivate good, to bring out good in all human beings. All right, so we're talking about the power of the Buddhas, and they're imbued with a kind of visional or mystical power in this text by the looks of it. I'm going to read this. The Buddha Avataṃsaka Sūtra also highlights the visionary and mystical power of attaining the spiritual wisdom which sees the nature of the world. Okay, what's this quote? Endless action arises from the mind. Okay, from action arises the multifarious world. So it's this idea of action, of doing, that creates the world. Having understood that the world's true nature is mind, you display bodies of your own in harmony with the world. The world's true nature is mind. Okay, this sounds like a sort of idealist perspective of the world. But Let's go on. Having realized that this world is like a dream, and that all Buddhas are like mere reflections, that all principles, Dharma, are like an echo, you move unimpeded in the world. So this is a result of our meditation practice. This is a result of our contemplation of the Buddhist concepts of no self and all that emptiness. So as a result of their infinite power and omnipotence, Buddhas have the magical ability to create and manifest infinite number of forms all over the universe. And they do this effortlessly and without calculation for an infinite number of skillful means out of great compassion for all beings. As the Sutra states, in all atoms of all lands, Buddha enters, each and every one, producing miracle displays for sentient beings. Such is the way of Vairocana. So we'll come back to that in a moment. It has its own section down here. The techniques of the Buddhas are inconceivable, all appearing in accord with beings' minds. In each atom, the Buddhas of all times appear, according to inclinations, while their essential nature neither comes nor goes. By their power, they pervade the worlds. That's a Cleary translation, so that must be Thomas Cleary again. He must have translated this text and fell in love with it. That's what it sounds like to me. That's why he gives it such high praise. All right, so okay, so I guess this is giving a kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It's not quite dignity. It's more than that. It's more like a high reverence, high respect to the practices of anyone who has attained bodhisattvahood. Miracle displays for sensual beings. So we are capable of miracles, right? So in all atoms of all lands, Buddha enters each and every one. Okay, so he's all pervading. Once you attain Buddhahood, you produce miracle displays for sentient beings, such as the way of Vairocana. Alright, so he clearly thinks highly of people. The Buddhas are great. That's that's what this is saying. They're magnificent. They're capable of miracles. They can do all sorts of things. I want to look at this here. Vairocana Buddha. The sutra also discusses how there are an immeasurable number of Buddhas and their Buddha fields. I like that term. Buddha fields, which are said to be infinite, representing a vast cosmic view of reality. One key Buddha. So there is a Buddha, a key Buddha. In this sutra is the Buddha Vairocana, radiance, or the illuminator. Vairocana is a supreme cosmic Buddha who is the source of light and enlightenment in the Lotus universe, and who is said to contain all world systems within his entire cosmic body. Okay, so that's Vairocana. He is, where are we? Major Buddha from Mahayana and Vajrayana. He is often compared to the sun because both bestow their light impartially upon all beings. All right. However, unlike the sun, whose light can be blocked and which disappears at night, Vairocana's light is omnipresent, impossible to block, and shines eternally. Okay, so what is his light? Is his light just goodness? Is he radiating goodness? Is he radiating Buddhahood? I don't know. So the wisdom of the Buddha is present everywhere in the universe. Indeed, it is present within every living being. Okay, so I'm not going to go too deep into this, but yeah, it is clear that Okay, so this is a figure that is important to Buddhahood, and uh, this idea is just. I'll just read it again. The wisdom of the Buddha is present everywhere in the universe. Indeed, it is present within every living being. Vairocana is a symbol of that. Okay, so all right, a new favorite Buddha just dropped. I like this one. I'm going to be looking up more about Vairocana. Uh, I want to start collecting some Buddhist statues. If I can find a little one of Vairocana, I will get one. I've got an Amitābha, but Vairocana will be cool. It's a little bit like collecting Pokemon, I think. But all right, so part of this text, the Buddha Avataṃsaka Sūtra. Yeah, it's going into that sort of Mahayana concept of bodhisattvahood, right? It's teaching about Buddha nature in all human beings, how we all have it, how it pervades the universe. So let's have a little bit more of a look at this section. So that's one aspect of it. It talks about bodhisattvahood and all of the stages. And it, yeah, Vairocana is in this. I like him. I just like him. I can't explain it. Sometimes you just have a crush on a Buddha. Right. Mind only and emptiness. The sutra contains both the mind only Yogacara teachings and emptiness teachings. All things are empty of inherent existence, and also speaks of pure untainted awareness or consciousness as the ground of all phenomena. Okay, so that's a call for mindfulness if there ever was one. So, holistic cosmos. The East Asian Buddhist view of the text is that it expresses the infinite universe as seen by a Buddha. Infinite universes, okay? Alright, so what have we got here? What do we call this? Would we call it a metaphysical or ontological view? What is ontology? And here's the thing, I haven't studied philosophy in a bit, but ontology is the branch of metaphysics dealing with the nature of being. So we've got ontology, we've got cosmology. That's the scientific study of the universe. I think I'm looking for a different word. Oh, where is it? Branch of physics and metaphysics. So you've got cosmology, ontology. Yeah, they seem to be making ontological and cosmological claims about what the universe is. So it's a holistic cosmos. What does that mean? The universe, the infinite universe as seen by the Buddha, sees all phenomenon as empty and thus infinitely interpenetrating from the point of view of enlightenment. This interpenetration is described as the perception that the fields full of assemblies, the beings and eons, which are as many as all the dust particles, are all present in every particle of dust. So this interpenetration. Okay, is this... God. Alright, so this shares what I feel is my understanding of Buddhism, and a common understanding of Buddhism is that all things are interrelated somehow. But this word interpenetrating, that's different. I want to know, how this is different from interbeing, if it is different. I don't even know if I'm using interbeing right, because that's dependent origination, conditioned genesis it's sometimes called, I think. All these concepts, they interest me. This one seems to be different. It just seems to be a claim about reality that the fields full of assemblies, the beings and eons, which are as many as all the dust particles, are all present in every particle of dust. Thus, a Buddha's view of reality is also said to be inconceivable. No sentient being can fathom it. Alright, well, it's very unlikely I'll get a good picture of it by the end of this stream, but maybe I will end by reading this and then doing a summary. So, the following passage from the Buddha Avataṃsaka describes this holistic idea of universal interpenetration or interfusion, which sees the total sum of all things as being contained in each individual phenomena. Okay, so the sum total of all things as being contained in each individual phenomena. But the paradox is, and I don't know if you can call it a paradox, but it's just this idea of emptiness. What is emptiness? How can something be empty, but also how can there be a sum total of all things? But I guess all things are empty. These are sort of words. I've got to look through. I've got to pass through this at some point, but I'll read the quote. Children of the Buddha, just as if there was a great sutra, as extensive as the great universe, in which are written down all phenomena in the great universe. So a great sutra, sort of picking apart, we're talking about this writing. We're saying if there was a great writing, or maybe I'm using that wrong because it's oral. A sutra is oral. So we're saying there's this sort of collection of sayings, I'll put it that way, as extensive as the great universe, in which are written down all phenomena of the great universe. We are being sort of challenged to think about that. That is to say, this great sutra is extensive as the great universe. In it is written about the phenomena in the great enclosing iron mountains, as extensively as the great enclosing iron mountains. It is written about the phenomena on earth, as extensively as the earth. It is written about the phenomena in the medium universe, as extensively as the medium universe. Okay, this thing is large. It is written about the phenomena in the small universe, as extensively as the small universe. In the same vein, all phenomena, be they the four continents or the great oceans, Sumeru mountains, the palaces of the gods in the heavens, of the realm of desire, the palaces in the realm of form, and the palaces of the formless realm, are written down to an equal length. Even though this sutra is as extensive as the great universe, it can be fully comprised within a single particle of dust. As it is with one particle, so is it with all particles of dust. Okay, so he's really getting us to stretch our minds and imagine. I don't know who the author of this is. This text is asking us to stretch our minds and imagine sort of a vast cosmos, and this idea of a great sutra, this great explanatory text. All of it is contained within a single particle of dust. And as it is with one particle, so it is with all particles of dust. Okay, I love that. I think that's great. That's quite a picture. Yeah, okay, we've got this idea of a holistic cosmos. Every part of the cosmos contains the whole. Is that what it is saying? I am unsure about that, but I do like this idea that there is a relationship between the whole and its parts go down to the atomic level, which is great. So, alright, mind only and emptiness. So emptiness again, I think we had a look at that already. All right. Yeah, I'm going to leave that there. So there's the holistic cosmos. Sort of to give a summary then, what have I learned about the Buddha, the Vairocana Sutra? Okay, this is one of the sutras. I haven't heard about this before. All right, so if I just go here, right, it's a compilation of numerous smaller sutras. It describes a cosmos of infinite realms upon realms filled with an immeasurable number of Buddhas. And it was very influential in Mahayana Buddhism. I think Pure Land uses it, but it is sort of unclear to me to what extent it was important in Pure Land. It's at the very least on the Pure Land website. This last chapter here, so it sort of described this sort of rapture-like scenario where all of the bodhisattvas sort of enter the Pure Land. It's got some doctrines here on, the holistic cosmos, mind only and emptiness, the power of the Buddhas. That's the bit that interests me most when it comes to bodhisattvahood. And also Vairocana. He's my guy. I like Vairocana. There's more here. There's another bit on bodhisattva stages. And that's one thing that used to confuse me when I first started researching Buddhism. I'll go into that in another time. But this... what was his name? Thomas Cleary. I'm guessing one of the translators said it was the most grandiose, the most comprehensive, and the most beautifully arrayed of the Buddhist scriptures. I think that might be a good place to end this. I'm sure I'm going to try and find a copy that I can read if there's an English translation. It will be part of my ever-expanding reading list. But thank you for listening.